Hey everyone, welcome back to Focus Strip channel. Today I'm walking you through my custom OPNsense Firewall build powered by MSI Cubi NUC barebone PC. I'll show you the hardware setup, installing the OPNsense, how can you configure within your network and then move it to the front end of your network. That means like before the router where ISP connection is coming through. Because setting it up ahead is little bit riskier, so I did set it up within the network first, basically build it and then install the OPNsense and set it up within the network, and then I moved it and configured accordingly. So this is, I think it is going to be my last one in the hardware series build. In recent times, I did like, I mean, if you are following my channel or if you want to check it out, I do have custom NAS build, which is true NAS, and also I have a custom home cloud, which is Nextcloud installed on the true NAS, and how do you set up all those things are there in my previous videos. I'll be putting a link below in the description for those videos also. But yeah, anyway, let's dive into the actual hardware build. I'm going to move the recording or the video shots a little bit faster because it's just a hardware build. I'll be giving a background commentary on that, and let's jump in. So far for the base system, I'm using MSI Cubi NUC with Intel Core 3 100U. Supports up to 64 GB DDR5 RAM, and it also has other gizmos like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which are non-trivial for the firewall. I dropped 32 GB RAM and 500 GB SSD, NVMe SSD, plenty of headroom for OpenSense, plus some logging and packet inspection tasks can breeze through. The MSI Cubi NUC 1M series packs with the Intel Core 3 100U processor. I mean, you get a Core 5, Core 7 also, but I choose this is the lowest I can go for, like, which has a 6 cores, 8 threads, 10 MB cache, will base clock speed of 3.3 gigahertz. It's impressively quiet with noise levels around 30 decibels under most workloads. It can go up a little bit in the heavier usage. It says compact and cute and quiet operations for 24 bar 7 kind of operation, which is a firewall. Why it's a strong match for the OpenSense firewall use. It's 8664 compatibility. The OpenSense runs natively on the same architecture, fully supported. Enough CPU headroom, compact and quiet, upgradable and flexible. You can add more RAM if needed, but home usage, 32 GB itself is overkill. Robust I/O options, which it has a like two dual 2.5 gigahertz NIC cards, Intel ports. So um, as long as you're running below 2.5 gigabits from your ISP, this is a great thing. I mean, like right now, I have 1 GB connections from Fios, so it suited very well for my needs. I know it's a bit overkill. I wanted to be future proofing. That's why I chose this hardware. Next up is installing OpenSense. The install process is pretty smooth. I ran through the usual setup, assigned my interfaces, got basics running. At this stage, I kept behind my existing router just to play safe while configuring DHCP firewall rules and some essentials. While installing, the first step you have to do is interface selection. WAN, that's the internet side, which is you connect to your ISP, and LAN. And when you're selecting the WAN, you have to enable a DHCP because typically most ISPs assign the IPs to us instead of giving a static for the home users. And LAN, you can keep it simple. Once install is done, just test the web UI. This is what I just logged in and I looked at the basic stuffs. So after initial setup, I moved my appliance, the firewall appliance, to front of my router. Before that, like I just made my Deco, the TP-Link Deco main node as access point. I enabled it access point and I shut it down. I shut down all the nodes for just for safety thing. Like I don't want to get into messy situation. Technically, it shouldn't happen, but just in case. And I connected the ISP cable, the Ethernet cable coming from the ISP to the WAN port, and then the LAN port, the designated LAN port to the Deco router. If you have a device which has more than two, then you have to make sure you remember which one you assigned. Physically, you should remember which one you assigned as a WAN and LAN. You can combine, there's a way to do combine and increase the bandwidth also, but since my speed itself is 1 Gbps and my ports are 2.5 Gbps, so I didn't have to worry about those things. And I don't think in near future I'll go beyond 2.5 Gbps speeds. And anyway, that kind of requirement I haven't seen it yet for the home purpose. Leaving apart, I connected. This is a very basic connectivity, and I booted up both the systems, starting with my firewall and the Deco router. One thing to remember: I'm using Verizon Fios Ethernet, ISP. So I went to their app and just did a quick there are some diagnostic things you can do which basically kind of refreshes the network connectivity. I typically encountered issues when I changed the routers. I had to reach out to them to refresh or something, but like now I found a direct way to do that myself. This time I did that and seamlessly my network is up, no issues at all. So yeah, once this is all done, I just wanted to make sure I did already configure the interfaces and basic stuff, require DHCP server. That you can do it later also. So the things I need to, I'll show. I already done this because I couldn't connect and record at the time. I'm showcasing that now. So let's jump to that. Let's change the scene for going to that particular thing. As soon as you log in, I already logged in. You come to the system configuration wizard. Basically, if you come to this wizard, you can walk through this. It will walk you through the basic stuff. I didn't go through this entire stuff. I just curiously looked at this. And first thing I was doing was like go to the interface, make sure your interface are all right. And I enabled these things like a prevent interface removal, these kind of things. I didn't do much on this if I remember. Yeah, both have done that. And DHCP, both the WAN, make sure your WAN is enabled DHCP because your ISP is going to provide the IPs. It's not a static IP. So that's a thing. You see this is the administration screen, basic administration screen. Protocol web GUI, I just kept it HTTPS, so technically should force it for HTTPS. And I didn't change much of any of the things. Enabled log, service logs. I think they were all enabled default. And one thing, yeah, that's right. You need to do the firmware update. Go to the firmware and look at the status here first. And you should be seeing the latest one. Like I downloaded the OPNsense probably a few weeks before the install. I had a couple of updates pending. I did run through a glitch because that was how I found is I was trying to install a particular plugin and plugin was expecting the latest firmware, which was 25.7.2. I was on 25.7 at the time when the installation disk image I prepared. So I tried to update. If you go here, there's no updates pending. That's what it was showing. So what I ended up doing was I need to get into the system by doing SSH. Basically, I can showcase that a little later how to do the SSH. But for that, in the administration UI, you need to enable the SSH. And in the settings, if you go administration, I think we have the SSH here. It is suddenly slow, behaving slow. You see this? You can enable, by default it is off. And in respect to the security, I think it should be off, but for this recording, I just kept it enabled. You have to enable this to do a SSH into the system. If you do the SSH, you will get into the main port, main UI of the console. if you remember in the install time, it give an options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like various options, change interface, IP addresses, all those things. One of the options is SSH, getting into the shell. So once you SSH and use that option, I think it's an option 8, then you go to the shell and you do the update. I did this is a free BSD, and that's I use a free BSD commands like package update installs, those kind of things. Again, I don't remember all those, because I don't use them every day. I googled them and I found out what you need to do. So just do that update if you find a hiccup while doing the update through the UI. But this is where you can check your firmware status. Go under firmware and firmware status. So that's one important step before you do anything. Then go to the interfaces, WAN, LAN. Optionally, you can have an optional virtual networks you can create. That you can do it later. I didn't do anything so far. So if you go here, right, I'll show you WAN DHCP interface. Getting in is the default name. I don't remember giving this name. This is static IPv4 for the LAN. Basically, the LAN is going to be static. I mean, you are running a DHCP server, but like you are not receiving in the IP from any DHCP server. Here for the WAN, you have to make sure you're enabling the DHCP. I don't use IPv6 so far, but I just kept it enabled. And those two things you need to look at. And excuse me. Next is firewall. For the firewall rules, LAN, you should allow LAN to any. That's a good starting point. Then you can add restrictions later as needed once you understand the whole thing. And for the WAN, default should be blocked all inbound. For that is for the home, unless I do have a special need for like my Nextcloud NAS server to be accessed from outside, so I had to add those. I did a port forwarding also. So let's go to the firewall and show the alias is for the, okay, that's different. I'll go to the alias. Rules, initially you feel it is overwhelming, but they are simple. Default allow LAN to any rule, that's the thing for the IPv4 and IPv6. And WAN, I enabled only for this destination, that is my NAS server where my Nextcloud is also running. I kept these two ports open for that. And the next is block. Everything will be blocked. All in are blocked. If you see this, right, all in are blocked. So I think the order get executed from top to the bottom when the rules are run. That's a typical of any firewall. I'm learning. Then go to the services. Basically, this is where your DHCP and other stuff you can enable. And I made the subnet as this, and this is the range of IPs I'm going to allot from this network. So those kind of configuration you can do here. Enable DHCP server on the getting in interface. So from this, I'm enabled the DHCP server, so that this, because my Deco is no more router, and this firewall is also acting as a router for the home network. That's what you can also add a virtual networks and other stuff, which at least at this moment I didn't see a need, because my Deco has some features for IoT Wi-Fi network. So all IoT devices connect to a separate network on the Wi-Fi. In that way, it is somewhat segregated, not totally segregated. That should be okay for home network. I mean, if you're using that kind of access point with enabled Wi-Fi's. I'm just trying to highlight the default stuff, what all things you should be looking at initial setup and changing or modifying. Yeah, and that after DHCP, I did an unbound DNS that's enable your OPNsense to resolve if you're running. Basically, I wanted to have a split DNS, which I think I talked about in my previous videos on the Nextcloud setup, how to do the split DNS. Split DNS is nothing but basically you have your IP, you're running a service which is accessible from outside, which will be resolved typically from outside. But if you are within your home network, I don't think it is worth going all the way to outside DNS server, get a resolution, and come back to hit your service or server. For that, what I'm doing is I'm setting up a home DNS server. So any request for DNS will hit that first, and if there is something matching, it will resolve there itself. So that's a split DNS. Rest all usually go out because my local service doesn't, local DNS server doesn't know about all of the word DNSs. That's how the hierarchical DNS service works also outside world, because it might go to ISP will push it to somewhere else, and that's how it gets resolved. So in that whole tree, I am putting my own DNS server. So that you can do it with the unbound DNS here. If you go here, right, enable unbound DNS, I checked. And this is a default DNS server port 53, and you don't do anything here apart from that. Overrides, yes. So this is the override I did. So I have two domains, two subdomains basically, nas.focusdiff.com and cloud.focusdiff.com, and that's their internal IP address. So this is for the split DNS. This is first part of the split DNS setup. And once it is done, I mean that this is not like normal thing for everyone to do that. I'm just giving you in my scenario what I did. You can pick and choose what you need to do. And you have to do the other thing is dynamic DNS. Yeah, here. I didn't add anything here. It just enabled native backend. You can add it is loading. And lastly is intrusion detection. That's one of the key things I was looking for the firewall to do. That's why I wanted my own firewall. So intrusion detection, if I remember, it's in services. It's here only. I just did the enabled. I didn't do much IPS mode because I have a powerful CPU which can do this kind of tasks. So I enabled all those things, and you can do, I mean, I still need to learn what all things you can do with this. So there are different plugins, I think, enable selected. You can add rules, custom rules. Okay, that's like it's a separate topic itself. Another important thing is Monit. This is a monitoring tool enablement, enable Monit and alert settings. Basically, I put my emails and there is a trick to add. I need to mask this. Basically, you can use the Gmail, smtp@gmail.com, and you have to create an application credential or app credential, not your regular username and password. You can Google it how to do that, and you can use that password, create that this particular setup, add it here under it's little flaky. Like I struggled a lot to test it, but I kind of realized it. Service testing. These are default services it comes, right? And this one is you can run a simple tests, failed ping, failed link, and it will simulate and send out a report. Alert settings, sorry, here I think. This is one crucial thing. See, this kind of template it is expecting. I was reading documentation, but like I messed up a couple of times this template. Because maybe the old version is slightly different. I'm not sure why it was behaving like that. Finally, I settled on this particular template, and based on that, it uses that template to parse the information from the logs and event handlers inside, and I think it will push the message out. So this is one crucial thing I suggest everyone has to do it minimally, because if your WAN interface is down or something like that, right, major one, you'll get a notification email. So in that way, it is good. Any issues happening with your network, the basic one. Again, I need to dig in more. What all events are I can listen and monitor, and what are really useful. I just don't want to flood my email with all this warning and errors. The other thing I did was like I remember like when I initially set up Cloudflare proxy and all for my Nextcloud account and IPs. I was seeing like the Cloudflare shows you statistics where all the requests originating and all. I was surprised. Like, I mean, again, it's a bot word, and I was getting requests from all over crazy countries, also like South America, South Africa, Eastern Europe, Japan, which none of my I was sharing with my family and friends, and they are no not residing in those locations definitely. So those were like a bot attacks or sniffing into the whatever things, right? So you have to make sure you block that. So that you can do it here in firewall section. If I remember, you create a alias, come here, GeoIP settings. It's not very intuitive menu because I was struggling to find where it is. It is under aliases and GeoIP settings. So the other thing is you need to have a list of IPs or bundle. Like there are third party free providers you can download and upload to this system, or you can give the URL and you create an account and credential, and this can pull it up from there. So right now I did it from iplocate.io. I'll put all these details in the description. If you want to use them, use them. And I selected. There are different sets of the classified IPs based on geo, state, or coordinate, and different categories. And once you've done right, then this is the one I created. Right, you just do is here like add. You can give a name and host. Not the host, sorry. Here GeoIP. Then you can see what countries. Nothing is selected. I mean, these countries are not selected. I mean, let me share what I did it for my this thing, right? So I selected everything from Africa. Americas, I selected United. I mean, when 52 out of 53, that means I didn't select all over. Like, you need to have access from United States. So that's why I unchecked, and rest all is. I mean, whatever is selected is get blocked. Basically, if IP originates from there, that's the crux of it. So that's one thing important. I think if especially if you're hosting some services from your network and you're giving a public access and you can control that. That really helpful. And also unwanted bots coming into your network, right? That shouldn't be. That's another thing. I didn't add the VPN or WireGuard. There are two options here with OPNsense. I think it provides for both WireGuard or OpenVPN protocols. And there's a IDS IPS. There's a plugin called Suricata, if I are pronouncing it correctly. That also for the deep packet inspection. I need to enable all those things. Yeah, this is the basic stuff you can do with like as you start immediately. At least this has to be done, and then slowly you dig into a particular topic and understand it, and you can tweak and modify those things. And basically, if you come to the lobby, and it has a decent dashboard. So just to recap, at this time, WAN is live. My LAN Deco, I mean, like your LAN is live DHCP. Basically, you need to enable the DHCP, and basic firewall rules are added, and your monitoring is enabled with the Monit app. I think for the to enable the Monit, you need to install the Monit plugin. Then only you get that in the menu. I forgot to mention. I think all the plugins basically goes through here. If I for where status plugins. So I installed iPref. That's another tool basically to check the network speed. But unfortunately, iPerf public server there are only one. That too in California, and I'm in the East Coast. It's not giving me reliable speed. I mean, when I tested, I mean, you can dig in how to do that. You just install that plugin and you have to get onto the shell and run the command ipop 3 minus c with the IP address of that ipop service, and then how many threads you want to kick in or something like that. But that typically gives you the speed of your firewall to ISP. So, I mean, if you doubt, suspect your network speed is dropping for some reason, something, there is a couple of other plugins which I couldn't install because they are older version, the FreeBSD 12, I think. They support 12 or 13. This is a FreeBSD 14. I tried to install those. Uh, what is that Okla plugin? There's a Okla plugin, and with that, I think the Okla has like a lot of servers. Every state has a server, at least in the United States. You can test that, but I need to find out is there any upgraded version for FreeBSD 4, because OPNsense is built on FreeBSD 14, the 25.7, and for some reason this architecture and 13 they couldn't they are not compatible, at least for the Okla plugin. That's all about it. And please let me know if you have any questions, doubts, whatever I know, I can help you. Put your comments in the comment section. And please do subscribe, share, pass the good information out. And good luck with your build if you're doing. I think if you're watching up to this end, that means you're trying to do something on this line. Good luck with that. Adios.